Is having a baby in Germany really free? And is it actually going to cost you your firstborn son in the US? Hey guys, and welcome back to our channel. I am Donnie, and along with my wife Aubrey, we are two Americans currently living in Germany with our baby, sharing all of our experiences living and traveling throughout Europe. About 3.5 months ago, we welcomed our first baby into the world, and it was our first foray into the German medical system. We did an entire video on our experiences as Americans giving birth in Germany, where we discussed things like what it was like staying in a German hospital, to our experience using a German midwife. But in that video, we didn't go over the costs of giving birth in Germany. However, as we were settling into parental life, we've also started to notice all the other costs that are associated with having a baby. Things like diapers, diaper creams, baby formula, and so much more. So how does all of these things in Germany compare with costs for new parents in the US? Well, that's exactly what I'm going to talk about today in our video. Higher or lower? Is Germany draining my bank account a little slower? Now, one of my biggest pet peeves is watching videos about cost comparisons between, for example, the US and Germany, and people comparing the costs in their local area in Germany and their hometown in the US, and then saying, this is how much things cost in Germany versus the USA. As we all know, the cost of living ranges in significant ways from place to place, and it isn't fair to consider two cities and then say that represents the entire two countries. However, it also doesn't really make sense to show 1,000 different prices between a spectrum of locations in both countries. So with that being said, let me make it clear that what I am looking at is specifically comparing the cost for our local area where we are originally from in Oklahoma and in our local area where we live now in Rheinland-Pfalz. But feel free to share in the comments what these costs are like where you live and how they compare to what I showed today. Now, I know the thing that everybody is wondering, based on the healthcare system of Germany and the system in the US, how much does it cost to give birth in a hospital compared to America? And I'm going to get to that at the end, but let's first talk about some of the daily expenses with a baby. And let's talk about the big one that we never take off of our grocery list because we are constantly buying new ones. Diapers. Of course, this should go without saying, but there are different brands, different stores that have different price points in both countries, or in this case, some people may choose to use something alternative like cloth diapers. But I'm going to compare things that we actually buy, so let's take a look at disposable diapers. If we were in Oklahoma, we would be paying 25.8 cents per diaper, but here in Rheinland-Pfalz, we pay 18 cents per diaper. Of course, don't forget that the American price doesn't include sales tax that would be included at checkout, so the actual price of diapers in Oklahoma is higher than what we see here, whereas the German price is the final price with all taxes included. So we're probably looking at roughly 10 cents per diapers of a difference. But I can tell you right now, that adds up quickly when you're burning through those things after mama decides to eat Indian food and then feed the baby. Next up, diaper cream. I just picked two of what I think are the most popular brands in the US and in Germany, and I found that with somewhat similar sized bottles, you will pay about $2.63 per ounce in Oklahoma, and in Rheinland-Pfalz, the conversion comes out to be about €2.35 per ounce. Once again, US prices don't include the taxes and will be higher than this. Baby wipes. Roughly 3.7 cents per wipe in Oklahoma and roughly 1.5 cents per wipe in Rheinland-Pfalz. And that is also considering that this particular container in Oklahoma contains roughly 70 more wipes in the package in Rheinland-Pfalz. So my expectation would have been that because of the higher quantity purchased, you would have had a lower per piece cost. Now I'm gonna pause and say, I really am surprised by these results so far. I truly thought that these baby goods would be cheaper in Oklahoma because Oklahoma is known for having some of the lowest costs of living in the US, and that is one thing that Oklahomans are extremely proud of. Therefore, a very common thought in Oklahoma is that if you go anywhere else, like Europe, you're going to be paying more as the cost of living there is almost unbeatable in Oklahoma. But overall, in these specific expenses, Germany consistently has lower prices on all of these goods. Again, I'm not looking at every possible brand or store out there, but from personal experience, these prices are very representative of what we generally find across the board for these types of products. Of course, there are a lot of priceless things about having a baby, and getting to add to our family tree is an incredible experience. For example, time off to spend with your new baby is priceless, and in Germany, Aubrey is getting the opportunity to take an entire first year off, whereas in the US, that wouldn't have been possible unless she would have outright quit her job. But speaking of priceless things and adding to your family tree, I literally added our baby to our family tree with the sponsor of today's video, MyHeritage. MyHeritage is the #1 family history service in Europe in which you can make discoveries about your family heritage and easily build your family tree. So I started manually building our family tree on MyHeritage, but as soon as I started running out of info on our relatives, I started getting notifications of instant discoveries and smart matches where MyHeritage was automatically making connections between my tree and other family trees, as well as with info in their 16 billion historical records. Within minutes, my tree grew exponentially, and I learned about my family history going back to the 18th century that I had never seen before. Have you seen those pictures that are getting more and more popular where people are colorizing old black and white photos? Well, this is one feature that MyHeritage has on their site where you can colorize, enhance, or even animate old family photos to bring family members you may never have even met before to life. If you want to discover more about your family history, you can sign up for a 14-day free trial, and if you choose to then continue your subscription, MyHeritage will give you a 50% discount if you use our link in the description below. Now, I said I wanted to compare costs of things that we are actually paying for, but there are two things that we don't personally pay for, but are very important items for others. So I did look these up real quick for your information, with the first being baby formula. This is, of course, a hot topic, in particular in the US, because of the baby formula shortage. We literally had people from the US contacting us and asking for us to send some from Germany to them so their babies could have formula. I also went to Rossmann one day and found one of Aubrey's coworkers buying packages of formula to take home to friends in Chicago while she went home for a wedding. So whenever I looked this up online, the first thing I actually got was a disclaimer that you should first check with your individual store in the US to make sure they even have formula available. Currently in Oklahoma, after the conversion and before sales tax, we would be looking at $48.76 per kilogram, but €9.90 per kilo in Rhineland-Pfalz. Now again, we aren't using any formula for our baby, so I have never purchased formula and don't know the ins and outs of these products. When I saw these prices, I thought surely I had found a specialty formula in the US that is very expensive, and this isn't typical formula. But as far as I could tell, these are two similar regular baby formulas. But that is a massive price difference if I got this correct, and it just doesn't make sense. Or maybe this is a supply and demand issue, and because of the shortage in the US, the prices have spiked, and this is not representative of normal pricing when there isn't a shortage. If someone could let us know their experiences with this in the comments, I would highly appreciate it. The second expense that we aren't paying, at least yet possibly, is childcare costs. Because of this, I can't confirm or deny any numbers, but for example, specifically in our German state of Rhineland-Pfalz, kids 2 and older can attend Kita or Krippe for free. However, in a state like the one next to us, Saarland, they are considered expensive, and a full day Kita can cost as much as 368 euros per month without food included. In Oklahoma, you can start pre-kindergarten at a school at the age of 4, which would be free if you're in a public school, but before that, childcare can average up to $715 per month according to procaresoftware.com. But again, I would love to hear your personal experiences with this, as we haven't gotten to this point yet and don't have any numbers ourselves. Of course, there are also lots and lots of other expenses like clothes, toys, strollers, baby furniture like cribs, maybe a rocking chair, etc. And these of course have prices that are extremely wide ranging, as you can go very high end with these things or maybe even low end and save some money. The thing with these types of expenses I did want to say is that in both the US and Germany, there is a culture of using secondhand items. For example, our baby's entire wardrobe is primarily secondhand clothes given to us by another American. Based on our personal experiences in both countries, we haven't personally noticed a difference in German or American willingness to use pre-owned goods like these, and this obviously helps in the cost department in both countries. Now, the big one that we've all been waiting for: how much does it cost in both places to actually birth the baby. Let's start with Germany and our personal experiences. Well, we haven't received any final bills yet, but we are expecting to pay some. First off, we had a completely natural birth, meaning we didn't have a C-section, and we didn't have any complications, and we were inside of a German hospital, and we have statutory health insurance. So all of that is a factor into what we're paying, and it may vary for others, but I don't know exactly other numbers because I'm just talking about our personal experience. But we got what is called a family room, where I got to stay in the hospital with Aubrey and our baby until they were released. If you want to know more about that specifically, go check out our other video, but we were quoted 75 euros per night, and that would be for 3 nights. So we're looking at about 225 euros for a completely optional service. If one chooses not to do a family room, they obviously don't have this cost. Other than that, there aren't any other costs. We've heard from some people to expect a charge of 10 euros per night for Aubrey and baby stay, so that would be a total of about 30 euros. But we've also heard this charge is waived in the case of childbirth, so we aren't actually expecting a bill for that. So in total, we are expecting to pay 225 euros out of pocket for an optional service, whereas we could be paying 0 euros if we opted out of me staying with them. Now, obviously, I haven't had a child in the US, so I can't speak from personal experience, but I first looked up the average cost of a natural, complication-free birth in an Oklahoman hospital and compared that figure with what my sister and brother-in-law paid for birthing their babies in a hospital in Oklahoma. It seems like every source online has different figures, but I found the Oklahoma average cost out of pocket of giving birth not covered by insurance, if you have insurance, is from $2,500 to about $6,000. When I reached out to my brother-in-law about how much they paid out of pocket, they said they paid about $2,500 to $3,500 per birth of their 2 children after the insurance covered the rest. So that's just the black and white out of pocket cost for giving birth compared, but you also probably should take into account how much health insurance costs between the 2 nations and taxes, etc. Because the reality is these also play a role in how much money we spend overall. And for example, we do pay significantly higher taxes in Germany, and our health insurance costs are also significantly higher in Germany. But again, what I'm wanting to cover are just these black and white costs out of pocket for 2 people that have insurance having a baby between the 2 countries. To see who made it this far into the video, the random question of the week is, if you could have been born in any other country, which country would you have liked to have been born in and why? Thanks so much for watching, guys. Be sure to hit the like and subscribe button, and I will see you in our next video. And we are live. Hi guys. Or maybe this is a supply and demand, or maybe this is a supply and demand problem. But let's say they do have formula in stock.